there were between 12 and 14 shots. And when I saw Sirhan in front of me about several feet, first few shots were coming from my left where Sirhan was. And then as Rosie Greer and Rafer Johnson went to grab him and subdue him, he twisted to his left and bent over. And then, but the shots to my right, where Senator Kennedy was, continued. And it was rapid fire and a different sound than the other gun, which Sirhan had.
How many shooters do you believe there were?
Well, from what I feel, from what I heard, were 2 shooters, because it was the 2 to 3 shots that Sirhan that I heard. My head went in his direction, and then it was pop, 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 just very rapid shooting coming from my right and more towards where the senator was in front of me, about 6 to 7 feet. And that kept going because even after Sirhan was subdued, the shots continued. So, and from another area, obviously.
SOPA was the bill that was intended to curtail online piracy of music and movies, but what it did was basically take a sledgehammer to a problem that needed a scalpel.
There's collateral damage.
Only a handful of us who said, look, we're not for piracy either, but it makes no sense to destroy the architecture of the internet, the domain name system, and so much that makes it free and open in the name of fighting piracy. And Aaron got that right away.
The freedoms guaranteed in our Constitution, the freedoms our country had been built on, would be suddenly deleted. New technology, instead of bringing us greater freedom, would have snuffed out fundamental rights we'd always taken for granted. And I realized that day that I couldn't let that happen.
I don't think anybody really thought that SOPA could be beaten. I remember him just turning to me and being like, I think we might win this.
Aaron was one of the most prominent people in a community of people who helped lead organizing around social justice issues at the federal level in this country.
It was like Aaron had been striking a match and it was being blown out. Striking another one was being blown out. And finally he'd managed to catch enough kindling that the flame actually caught, and then they turned into this roaring blaze.
Wikipedia went black, Reddit went black, Craigslist went black, the phone lines on Capitol Hill flat out melted. Members of Congress started rushing to issue statements retracting their support for the bill that they were promoting just a couple days ago. And that was when, as hard as it was for me to believe, after all this, we had won. The thing that everyone said was impossible, that some of the biggest companies in the world had written off as kind of a pipe dream, had happened.
Do you think he should have resigned?
I mean, I think there's many other reasons Petraeus should have resigned besides who he's sleeping with that's not his wife. But I just want to make a point here. That the larger point that I've been making is that essentially the media has played a role in protecting David Petraeus and promoting David Petraeus and mythologizing David Petraeus. And we saw it here tonight. General Kimmitt, who was a spokesperson in Baghdad, who was a roommate of Petraeus, who was involved in one of the biggest debacles in recent foreign policy history, is on TV, defending David Petraeus without actually addressing the real problems with David Petraeus' record. And those are the fact that he manipulated the White House into escalating to Afghanistan. He ran a campaign in Iraq that was brutally savage, included arming the worst of the worst, Shiite death squads, Sunni militiamen, and then you go back to the training of the Iraqi army program that also had similar problems. So for me, all the while he's going around the country talking about honor and integrity. So for me, the questions of honor and integrity, I was raising those earlier. A number of other journalists who were actually covering David Petraeus were raising those concerns. You might not get that from someone like Barbara Starr at CNN, who essentially is a spokesperson for the Pentagon in many ways. So I think I just want to step back and to have my piece because just even the way the scandal is being covered is so different than how usual sex scandals are being covered, where they hammer the guy mercilessly. Now everyone's saying, oh my God, he was at, he just went to the CIA. How could he be, he was susceptible.
3 days ago. I've been in Baghdad for the last 2 weeks. It is a much different place than it was when David Petraeus took over there. There is calm.
General Kimmett was the spokesperson in 2004, lying to the American people every day.
Okay,
in 2006, he said there was progress in Iraq. I was in Iraq there, man.
Michael,
don't try to spin. You guys are just letting him spin.
Let him have his say, please.
Okay.
Listen, I was over.
Hey, Roger.
Where's the driver? Where's the driver? Is there anybody in there?
There have been, as there always are in these situations, wild conspiracy theories that he was chasing some hot story, maybe connected to that, his late-night car crash in Los Angeles, other theories too. Do you subscribe to any of this? Do you have any idea really what may have happened?
I have no doubt that he was pursuing a hot story. He always had at least 5 hot stories going. That was Michael. So, and he also, there will be published his profile of John Brennan in an upcoming issue of Rolling Stone, probably in a couple of weeks. But right now, the LAPD still has an active investigation. I don't really have anything to add. My gut here is that it was just a really tragic accident, and I'm very unlucky, and the world was very unlucky.
He was a real one-off. I mean,
It's over. There's no such thing as a moderate Democrat. And so what do we get now in Barack Obama? Well, I've got videos, by the way. This election, we're going to vet him. I've got videos. This election, we're going to vet him.
Right-wing blogger Andrew Breitbart dead at the age of 43. Breitbart was certainly a driving force in the Tea Party movement, as well as a very influential political voice on the internet, heading up his own website after helping to run Drudge Report and launch the Huffington Post. But he's also known for controversial stories and some non-stories that he broke, among them New York Congressman Anthony Weiner's infamous Twitter picture, which led to Weiner's resignation from Congress. And in 2010, Breitbart was heavily criticized for posting
New details today in the mysterious death of a coroner's autopsy technician. There are reports that the 61-year-old may have died of poisoning. KCAL 9's Randy Page is live at the LA County Coroner's Office in Boyle Heights to show us what investigators know so far. Randy.
Lena, I must tell you, this has been a very difficult case here in the coroner's office. This is the first time in recent memory they find themselves investigating the death of one of their own. This is Michael Cormier, seen here in a YouTube video from several years ago, a veteran forensic technician for the LA County Coroner's Office who devoted much of his life to solving the mystery of unsolved deaths. Today, his death is presenting his friends and colleagues at the Coroner's Office with a mystery of its own.
Now a witness to Breitbart's death vanishes. Now, you could say, well, it's just hype, but you know it's really strange. This death follows the suspicious demise of a member of the coroner's team who also died, allegedly of arsenic poisoning. It was posted on WND. I put it up on michaelsavage.com. You could say it's coincidental. And I could say, why was Breitbart's skin reported to have been bright red at death instead of white? Did somebody poison him in that bar? One of the people who saw him last has now disappeared. The demise of a member of the coroner's team, a young man also dead, right after they issued the report that there was no foul play. That's on the top of michaelsavage.com. Next.